Hey, what's up, everybody? Well, of course, welcome to another episode of the Victorious Ones podcast, the place where gaming meets comics, meets sports, meets movies, as well as inspiration. Of course, I'm your host, King Von Jr. You can follow me on social media on Twitter/X at 301 King Von Jr. You can also follow the show's X page at Victory Pod One. I'm also on. All right. Anyway, I'm also on Instagram at Mr. King Von Jr. You can follow me on Instagram. Of course, you can also follow the show's Instagram page at Victorious Ones Podcast. Of course, I'm also a social media producer for the Unpopular Reviews Wrestling Show, Perfect Plex Talk Radio. Of course, on Mondays at 6 p.m., hosted by none other than front of the program, Mike Knox. And of course, this is WrestleMania season, so like we see the road to WrestleMania is becoming even clearer and clearer by the day, by the week, by the day, by the moment. And so, of course, I like to, kick off the week of wrestling, especially when it comes to SmackDown. And there were definitely, definitely quite a few highlights as it pertains to, as it pertains to Friday night SmackDown. Um, so of course, I'm going to go into that in a minute. And so, it's also looking like. Anyway, like I was saying, as far as that Friday Night SmackDown, um, you know, like I said, there's very, very noteworthy moments. Of course, especially the highlight was the Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk contract sign. I'll get to that later. Of course, we have LA Knight versus Braun Strowman for the United States Championship. Street Profits versus Pretty Deadly for the tag team titles. And we also had, we also had Zelina Vega versus Chelsea Green for the United States Women's U.S. Championship. And so SmackDown took place at the O2 Arena in London. So of course, Cody Rhodes made his way out to kick things off, and took until 10 minutes to the show for Cody to say anything, because because of the way that the crowd was chanting and singing his name. And so he barely got to say anything about the match against Cena before Randy Orton came in and joined him. And then, of course, as we all know, Randy Orton's famous legendary song "Voices." Anytime he goes to does international show, everybody's this singing along, sing along the Voices, especially the part where it says "They talk to me." And they just they just yell out, "Hey, talk to me," that whole thing. I mean, like, they treat Randy Orton like a rock star out there, because it's what he is. He's a legend. 22, 23 years in the business, 14 championships, and so he's more than deserves the red carpet to be rolled out for him. But anyway, like I said, they sang for for Orton just as long as they did for Rhodes, and continue to break out in a chance just as they were speaking. That's what the international crowd does, especially with this whole international tour that they've been doing. So the Viper said he's going to win the title again at some point, but he won't kick Rhodes below the belt the way that John Cena did. He said you like to look him right in the eye and tell him when he wants it. And this definitely, of course, this unleashed Drew McIntyre. So here we are in a world, in a universe, where Randy Orton wants to fight fair, and John Cena kicks people below the belt. Like, you want to talk about what, Earth 2, Earth -2 or something? Whatever the alternate universe is, as far as comics, like, that's the world that we live in. You know what I mean? Like, just like a parallel, almost like whatever Nexus event happened, and now we like, we pretty much switched places. This does not feel like the 616 universe, and I can say that not just for wrestling, but really just just in life, period. Where the world is going. This is like the society that we're in now is not the 616 universe. I just go ahead and say that. You know what I mean? So, like, so as far as that, just in more ways than one, just upside down world. I'm doing a podcast right Yeah, sorry about that. Of course, my bad. I had to take a quick call, but other than that, like I said, like the fact that Randy Orton, wants to face, Cody head on, but of course, it's brought out Drew McIntyre, like one of the ultimate haters. I'm doing a podcast right now. All right, but anyway, like I said, my fault. Sorry about that. But yeah, like I said, of course, this brought one of the ultimate player haters, Drew McIntyre. You know what I mean? So he was definitely the player hater of the year last year. Especially with his feud with CM Punk. Without question. So, will Orton reclaim? Will McIntyre reclaim that crown in 2025? Who knows? But but of course, of course, talk about how how Randy and Cody were products of nepotism. As everybody say these days, on social media, call them like nepo babies or whatever. It's just at the same time. On a side note, it's not their fault that they came from came from wrestling bloodline. So it's just so like I just want to throw that out there. For people that like to criticize people for nepotism, it's just like like fair or unfair. That's one of the things about life anyway. Yeah, but anyway, like I said, as far as that, like it's definitely pretty much like one of the few highlights about this segment. So it's just like it could have been bigger, but it just wasn't, especially especially without Cena. And so all they did was just recap what happened. But just the segment was more about filler than anything else. So we have Street Profits, that defend their tag titles against Pretty Deadly. Winners of that match, Street Profits. We have Kane Carter and Katana Chance. I haven't really seen them, team up in a while. Versus Alpha Fire and Piper Niven. And the winners of this match, Alpha Fire and Piper Niven. You know what I mean? So of course, there's Chelsea's secret Herbis, instead of Surface Herbis, whatever. But yeah, of course, we also see, we also see Zelina Vega run down to the ring and make a save when the fight continued after the match. And so, next up we have LA Knight versus Braun Strowman for the United States Championship. Braun Strowman won by way of DQ. You know what I mean? And so, especially because of interference from Jacob Fatu. And so, of course, that's still going on. Then we have Charlotte Flair versus Mid-Chin. Not Mid-Chin, but Mid-Chin. You know what I mean? And so the winner of that match, decisively, like not too much of a challenge other than Charlotte Flair. But I did like how, so of course, Mid-Chin was supposed to have a match, but Naomi attacked her from behind during the entrance. So she also attacked, B-Fab, who accompanied, Mid-Chin to the ring. And Jay Cargill, ran down to drive Naomi away, help B-Fab to the back as Charlotte made her entrance. And I like the stare down that Charlotte and Jade had, and I like Jade's Jade's yellow and black, which reminded me of Kill Bill, right? So of course the stare down with Jade and Charlotte, so that somewhere down the line, something's about to happen. This is the second time they've had a stare down. But yeah, so as far as that, it's just only time will tell when that happens. But yeah, even after after Naomi's attack, Michin was still able to compete, but was almost pinned immediately before the show even went to break. So, but, of course, the queen wanted to make this an easy win, which it could have been, but of course, Mia Yim, made a brief comeback, but but in the end, the queen got the win with the figure eight. So not much to write off about that. Then we have Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton. The winner of that match, the winner of that match winner of that match ended up being Drew McIntyre. Excuse me. So Drew McIntyre won by way of distraction from Kevin Owens, which allowed him to hit the Claymore kick on Orton for the win. And after the match, Randy Orton delivered a fiery promo, on social media, on Twitter. How it's been confirmed that it's going to be him versus KO at WrestleMania 41, and Orton talked about how he's going to kick KO, punk KO's head off. So like this is the Viper, and it's just KO better count his days, because when you unleash that viciousness in Orton, you better watch out. Like this, like saying, if anybody will tell you about how ruthless 2009 Randy Orton was, he was nothing to play with at all. So KO may unleash 09 Orton one more time. So I definitely can't wait to see how that match unfolds, and and just how this rivalry unfolds in itself. And pretty soon we're gonna have a Randy Orton article. And that's gonna be that's gonna be on my WordPress website. And and of course we also have Jimmy Uso versus The Miz, the winner of that match, Jimmy Uso. And and the most important thing, last but not least, was the contract signing for the triple threat match between Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk. And so this was absolutely the hot, and nothing I may add as well. I do have to include Naomi's promo about proceeding with caution, and how she was done being nice and trying to show, trying to show people how to treat her and things like that. And so she was and just said all this stuff that confirmed that she was tired of being seen as the third wheel. And so this is Naomi's time to break out. And the biggest thing, that guy that will supersede with caution. So Naomi's definitely in her element as a heel. This is, in my estimation, this is Naomi's absolute best work. And that says a whole lot, considering what she's done all throughout her career. But this heel run just elevates her stock in a way that, dare I say, I've never seen elevated like that before. I think it's in large part because of who her dance partners are. When it comes to Jey as well as Bianca, this whole big three, dynamic, if you will. It really put Naomi, just further into the forefront, right? And so, right back. All right, there you go. Brief, brief intermission, if you will, little break. But again, like I said, this is Naomi in her absolute element. In ways I follow her career, all the way from Funkadactyls to the Divas era, to Feel the Glow and everything like that. But this right here, this is just a different element, Naomi. And I think that this Naomi comeback run is definitely going to be her putting in the best work of her career, especially after the trials and tribulations that she had to deal with, with both her and Sasha, Mercedes, the way they were disrespected, and ended up having to make names for themselves outside of WWE, especially with the way that Naomi really made a name for herself over, made a bigger name for herself over there at TNA. Even became the Knockouts champion at one point. You know what I mean? And so that I think that elevated her value even more. And so now that she's back in WWE, she can be seen and taken more. She can be, looked at more seriously, in my estimation. And I think that this feud with Jade could really be money. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many elements that they could really tap into with this, and this absolutely screams a WrestleMania match, in my estimation. This storyline screams WrestleMania. It has WrestleMania written all over it. Las Vegas written all over it. I would think that would be, in the best interest of WWE to officially confirm that and solidify it. But like I said, that was one of the highlights. And one of the other highlights, was the contract signing. Once again, that's in between CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. And even though it was in London, CM Punk, arrived to a hero's welcome. And to the point where like the fans, like the CM Punk fans, they even had the Chicago flag. And we know how Punk is about Chicago. And see, things that flag with pride, with honor. You know what I mean? And so like this CM Punk comeback tour has been absolutely remarkable to witness. And for me, I would say this had to be the highlight of the night, because CM Punk finally, officially, his dream has come true of being a WrestleMania main eventer. And Paul Heyman said it during the contract signing, just congratulating him and stuff like that. And so, as far as that, and so in the meantime, you had Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins in the ring as well, and how about how like the thing is, Seth Rollins just crashed out. He absolutely lost it, and to Roman, that's the reason why he always has like Roman's attitude, his ego is the reason why he has to screw him at every turn. He has to screw him out of the match and cheat him at every turn that they could possibly get. And so said that Roman allowed a snake, snake like CM Punk into the garden, right? And so he's talking about, and Seth. This is the time where Seth wanted to say, when this, refer to him and Roman as we, as in we built this together and did this, as far as bring this company together. And so this is where Roman just went scorched earth. He said, we died a long time ago. He was like, this is all about me. I'm the one that brought this company. I'm the one that made this company the most profitable that's been in a long time. I'm the one that that got that got this Netflix deal. It's all about me. So that was his way of pretty much paraphrasing Kendrick. Paraphrasing Kendrick when he said, we say F the big three, it's just big me. So that was Roman's way of saying there ain't no big three, it's just big me. And so so the thing about it was, Roman read Seth for filth even more than he did with CM Punk. Even more than he did Punk. He walked Seth down, ran him down, saying, it's not about we, as far as the thing about that happened with us, it's done. It died a long time ago. Obviously, he was referring to You know, referring to Seth, Seth's chair shot. You know, the shot heard around the world when the Shield, when Seth broke up the Shield. So Roman would never, ever, ever, ever forget that. And so people can say what they want to about Roman's reduced schedule, but before all that, Roman was, Roman's been putting in the absolute best work of his career from a character standpoint, to a match standpoint, storyline standpoint, championship pedigree standpoint. You know what I mean? From a commercial standpoint, when it comes, when it comes to, when it comes to merch, ratings, just bringing in the money, right? Just being a bigger draw, And so this has been the finest, absolute defining work of Roman's career, And even after he reduced his schedule, he was still, the top commodity, the top priority. And the thing is, even with, his schedule being shaved, whenever Roman was on TV, the ratings would go up. Whenever Roman, said acknowledge me, whenever he was advertised, the ratings would go up. Ticket sales would go up. You know what I mean? The numbers don't lie. And I had a conversation with somebody about this on Sunday at Barnes & Noble. He was asking me about it. And I was like, look, people can say what they want to about Roman's character, his ego, whatever. But that promo, he told absolutely zero lies. People could try to, make it seem like, him and Seth are almost neck and neck. No, Roman has widened the gap between him and Seth Rollins. There was a point we could really make a case for Seth over Roman around like 2016, 2017, whatever. Like even like the initial time frame after the Shield broke up, and Roman was, having difficulty on the mic, and his character was, was very stagnant. He was still an extension of the Shield and things like that. Whatever, you could definitely make a case for that. As far, especially when it came to Seth, doing his thing as a US champion, IC champion, and and things like that. And so, and I like I said before, I know there are people told me that Seth had Roman's opportunities and he was in his position, be different. But I'm like, I know they tried to make Seth Rollins a thing at some point, but clearly, when it came to the demographic, when it came to the ratings, when it came to metrics and all those things that matter, he wasn't really hitting like that. I remember when he was even with, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but the thing is, I remember even when Seth was with the Authority, and there was a point when he first became WWE champion, and they were really putting that rocket on his back, right? There was even a point where they were saying that the Seth was getting like 40% of the TV time or something, at least some point, like during that initial run and stuff like that. But I mean, it's not like they were hitting their stride really from a mainstream standpoint the way they needed to, right? In any Seth Rollins title reign, they weren't, like I said, they weren't really reaching the heights that they needed to reach. Because clearly, I guess Seth is phenomenal in the ring. He's done great when it comes to his character transformation, when it comes to, different elements, whatever. He's made a drastic transformation ever since the Shield broke up. So initially he was the architect and stuff like that. Then like from that all the way to what we see now is the visionary, revolutionary. The whole Elton John, Rick James, Bootsy Collins type of cosplay thing that he's doing now. All that stuff like that. Like I said, that's Seth's, character arc is, transformation and stuff like that. That all right, whatever. That them chanting his name, wearing, like I said, multicolors and stuff like that. All right, that's cool, right? He's has a way of being able to get away with it, right? But at the same time, you know, there's a certain something missing from Seth that Roman has, and the company saw that. And Roman's had his, troubles and trials and tribulations and things like that. Like I said, I'm defending Roman's promo right now at this point. So when it comes to a business standpoint, clearly Seth was not delivering the way that Roman would. So yeah, like I said, like the thing is, Roman, went through his trials and tribulations as the big dog and everything like that, and so got to a point, where once the pandemic hit, he, had a much needed reset. He definitely needed to press the reset button, and it was for the better, because that's when he was able to reinvent himself, and become, like I said, become not only the head of the table, but the tribal chief and everything that he is now. And so, with that transformation, just something just clicked to where, like, yeah, he is now, fulfilling what he was supposed to fulfill. Now he has officially, really filled out those shoes that John Cena left for him. And even though he's done it as a heel, the thing is, he's like, by the time he's 2020, Roman was not as force fed, if you will, to be this superhero John Cena 2.0 thing that he tried to do in 2015. So so fast forward, by the time we get by the time we get to the pandemic, Thunderdome era, and things like that, like I said, Roman just got reinvented, especially when he had Paul Heyman in his corner, and so that just like elevated him in a way that he needs to be elevated, right? And so and just like we look at the trajectory of Roman's career versus the trajectory of Seth's career in terms of who has proven to be a bigger commercial commodity, right? It's been proven that Roman, is more of an answer to that than Seth. And I believe Seth knows that deep down inside himself. I remember John Cena even brought up some of the numbers, on that Roman A&E episode, and just in terms of the company's revenue and things like that, and it's just like and so that was seen as case for Roman as the GOAT. So it's just like, even if you don't have Roman at number one, as at least he's in the conversation. And John Cena's opinion does carry a lot of weight, and so for Roman to make that kind of impact, which warrants him to have the transcendent title reign that he has had, as of late, 1,316 days, top 5 all time when it comes to longest title reigns. You know what I mean? One of the most important title reigns in the company's history as well, and so it's just like Roman just casts a gigantic shadow over so many people, over so many, like super talented people in that locker room. You know what I mean? And so, I say all that to say, I know I've been, talking in circles, but I say all this to say that what Roman said, he told no lies, 0 lies detected, and so for Seth to jump in his face about that, and not only that, but Seth never, ever, 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 as I keep saying Friday, never, ever, 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 ever apologized directly to Roman about that. He's apologized, around others about what he did, but not to his direct victim. So that's why, I know I've had conversations discords and stuff like that. You know, it's discords and things like that. And, you know, like as far as, you know, as far as it's like conversations rather. You know, I know, you know, had, you know, conversations online, you know, with people about it, you know, including, you know, Mimi from Black Wrestling, who's like Roman's biggest super fan, if you will, you know, the ultimate Roman defender. Even she was like, you know, even she was saying that she wouldn't mind, you know, Seth getting the win. I said, really? Like I know this can be. I like, ain't no way, because it's like I can't see, you know, the Judas of the Shield continuously getting the one up on Roman. Like, nah, Roman's got to get a W over this dude, you know, and like it's just like at some point they're eventually going to have a one-on-one match, you know, if you're going to, you know, say this legendary rivalry and things like that, you know what I mean? Like it's just like Rock and Austin, you know, didn't feel like they had to take forever in order to finally collide at WrestleMania. You know what I mean? Same with Brett and Sean and, you know, whoever else you want to name. And it's just, I guess, you know, because this is just, you know, decade long, you know, story that's being told. So this is another chapter in that, which also includes CM Punk, you know, and deservingly so. This is definitely deserves, you know, deserves to be the main event of night one of WrestleMania, you know, because of the fact that CM Punk, you know, his goal, his dream is always to be is to be in the main event, the closing match of WrestleMania. You know, he definitely had the opportunity to do it last year, but because he got injured during the Royal Rumble, that sidelined him for WrestleMania 40. You know, so of course that's what, you know, that's what escalated his feud with Drew McIntyre, and that turned out to be what that was. You know, that feud turned out to be what it was. And so, I mean, and the thing about it is, I know, you know, because, you know, I'm sure there are people that are complaining about it, you know, because of the fact that, you know, because Jey and Gunther are not main eventing, and, you know, and Jey and Gunther are not main eventing, and Charlotte and Tiff are not main eventing. First of all, ain't no way I'm putting Tiffany Stratton in a WrestleMania main event, even with Charlotte Flair as her opponent. No freaking way whatsoever, right? And plus, you know, their storyline is not really, really checking off the boxes that it needs to check off. It's not really cracking the ceiling, let alone breaking the ceiling, you know, the way that it needs to, right? It's definitely a far cry from Charlotte versus Rhea, that's for sure. So that's the reason why that's not main event. You know, Jey versus Gunther, if it wasn't for, you know, Roman Reigns existing, you know, all right, then, you know, it could, you know, could definitely have a case, but clearly WWE is letting you know there's not a guarantee that the Royal Rumble winners, or, you know, that the winners of the Royal Rumble will be guaranteed, you know, a main event spot at WrestleMania. You know, and so, and plus, not only that, but CM Punk only has so much time left to be eligible, you know, at least, you know, to be available for a WrestleMania main event spot. So it's just like they see that the window is not that big for Punk. So it's like, you know what, let's go ahead and maximize this and make up for last year because of his injury. And we know, you know, like we look at Punk's track record, that dude was injury prone. You know what I mean? Like he might, at this point, might have been made out of glass. So who knows if he could make it to, I mean, really, it's just like, who knows if Punk could even make it all the way to Survivor Series, let alone, you know, next year's WrestleMania. So it's like, you know what, time is of the essence. Let's go and put him in this main event now. You know what I mean? And so, at least for him to check that box off his resume. And, you know, Punk's been more than deserving for the longest time to be in the WrestleMania main event. Let me say it like this: if they could put, you know, Lawrence Taylor and Bam Bam Bigelow in the main event. CM Punk deserves the main event. If Sergeant Slaughter could be in the main event of WrestleMania, CM Punk more than deserves to be in the main event of WrestleMania. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying. You know, so it's just like, you know, let's say as far as that, you know, Punk is more than deserving, and so Roman was, you know, and the thing is, like, Roman was really feeling himself in that promo. He was especially with everybody, you know, singing his name, to the point even Heyman was going along, singing along with the crowd, right? And so he's telling CM Punk to acknowledge his tribal chief, and you could read Heyman's lips as he was telling Punk. You look carefully, and so Punk acknowledged him. You know, call him the tribal chief, even through a shot at the big dog, something that Roman wants to live down. You know what I mean? Like not his finest hour. But then Punk turns things around and says, "This is not the favor that I was asking for." I said, "Whoa, really? I thought this was going to be the ultimate favor, you know, for him to fulfill something that he had never been able to." And so it's just like, man, as, you know, it's just like as the Punk turns, I guess you could say, right? And so, you know, like, you know, I was like, man. So, you know, so that definitely left SmackDown, you know, on a cliffhanger, if you will. And then when it comes to Monday Night Raw, John Cena and Cody had a promo sword fight with the shots that they were, you know, just, you know, the shots that they're throwing at each other. I mean, like, man, you know, and like, especially, you know, when Cena said that, you know, he helped a billionaire take his company to, you know, something along the lines, you know, with him, you know, helping a billionaire, a $1 billion company, you know, like, you know, reach new heights, you know, and so meanwhile, he said, you know, told Cody that, you know, said that Cody just stole, you know, some billionaire kid's money, was a shot at AEW, and Cody, you know, also mentioned, you know how Cena became who he became, you know, because there's one guy in the office, you know, who endorsed him, and that one guy is not around anymore, you know, to the point where they won't even say it, won't even mention his name anymore. Obviously, that was a shot at Vince McMahon. And Cody also said that at least they never chanted to him, you know, "You can't wrestle." I mean, like they were definitely going for the jugular. You know, they were swiping at each other left and right. I mean, like, man, you know, this was definitely, you know, you know, like, if anything, this is definitely a promo, you know, that really heated things up, you know, as we head into WrestleMania season. And so, as Cena was walking away, and then, so, you know what? Yeah, so, you know, other skeptics say, you know, it's WrestleMania building, but yet, you know, but, you know, of course, it's just like, you know, like I said, at this point, they're trying to move the ball forward as much as they can. Cody also mentioned, you know, the Rock in reference to Cena selling out, and you know, it's so you know, of course, Cena didn't even acknowledge what Cody said, and so it's like, man, but, you know, of course, Cena said a lot in his first two Hill promos, but you know, of course, you know, Slam, you know, I was like, man, you know, like I said, as far as that, as Cena was walking away, you know, he tried to attack Cody, only for Cody to turn around and nail him with the crossroads, you know, and so I was like, all right, then, you know, like I said, you know, Slam, this is definitely definitely the way of moving the ball forward, and they definitely really hit some pretty hard zingers, if you will, in their promo war. And so I was like, man, it's just like Cena was also talking about how Cody doesn't really know who he is. Basically saying that Cody's having an identity crisis, and it's just like, and everybody knows it, like as far as like, Cody saying, calling Cena his hero, even one point, I think even called the Rock a hero or something. Dusty, obviously Cody's dad, certainly his hero. And, and of course we know that, that Cody was also influenced by Ric Flair. And so, so as far as that, Cena question, Cody's authenticity, and talked about how Cody, was just stealing money from a billionaire's kid. Obviously, that was a shot at AEW, what I mean? And so, and also, Cena said that Cody, has been like the most protected champion that he's been in the ring with, whatever. And I was like, you know what I mean? Like I said, when I say that, the shade was being thrown left or right, that was no lie at all whatsoever. And also, let me see, one of the other highlights was just, also like as far as matches, the New Day defeated New Catch Republic by way of pinfall. Gunther defeated Jimmy Uso by way of submission with a sleeper hold. And after the match was over, the ring general continued the attack after the match until Jey Uso ran in and chased him off. Then Gunther returned and attacked both Usos, eventually using a zip tie to tie Jey to the ropes before making him force him to watch his continued attack on Jimmy, leading Jimmy to be pouring out blood and just have a crimson mask, as JR will call him, as Gunther choked him out with a sleeper right in front of Jey. So talk about going for blood, like literally, at this point, Jey might as well, might as well, like I said, Jey might as well show up to Vegas with that blicky on. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, he might as well show up with the pistol, or something. It's like, yeah, at this point, anytime you see a brother laid out like that, it's yeah. Yeah, when you're talking about no wrestling holds or submissions at this point, like he's got to snipe that dude out or something, because that's a bridge way too far. Next up we have Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio defeating Braun Breaker and Penta by way of pinfall. After Finn Balor hit the coup de grace on Penta, and so Braun Breaker actually hit Penta with a spear to set up the finish. And so, of course, afterwards, Penta confronted him, later on the show, eventually even called him stupid. So it's just like, yeah, you can definitely see Penta versus Braun for the title somewhere down the line. AJ Styles challenged Logan Paul to a match at WrestleMania before they brawl. Logan Paul got the better of AJ Styles after his pulverizer, whatever. Then finally, we had the Women's World Championship match, rematch with Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley, with Bianca Belair as special guest referee, as it ended in a double disqualification. Ripley accidentally hit special guest referee Bianca Belair first, and Io Sky hit Belair shortly after leading to the double DQ. And three women brawled after the match before Rhea eventually hit both Io and Bianca with Riptide. And for Bianca, Rhea hit the Riptide from the top rope, like WWE 2K24. And so, and of course, the reason why she hit the Riptide from the top rope was because the crowd chanted one more time, And so I was like, yeah, it's just like, what are they doing? Like, why don't they just go ahead and announce, mention that, mention that Rhea is going to be part of the match, because, for them to just keep playing games and Rhea keep falling short. And even before that, she hijacked the contract signing. You know what I mean? So it's just like Adam Pearce make that move, just going through the match because that's what she's wanted for the longest time. Ever since she lost the title. Anyway, so as far as that, it's just like like I said, when it comes to WrestleMania on the Raw side, it's definitely heating up. And then when it comes to NXT, I say that NXT was a major highlight. Even though unfortunately Stephanie Lockyer relinquished the NXT Women's North American Championship. I don't know why. I don't know why they would continue to let her be let her be a double champion and defend the title. But it's like whatever. You know what I mean? But of course in other news, we saw that Zarya defeated Lash Legend in some qualifying match for women's NXT Women's Championship going to Stand and Deliver. You know what I mean? So as far as that, I think it should have been the other way around. We also see Jordan Grace get into a brawl, with Jada Parker in regards to who's going to be the top contender for Stephanie's title, and Jordan Grace showed why she's the juggernaut because she was throwing those security guards left and right. I mean, even over the top rope. You know what I mean? Of course, even Jada caught the smoke herself. I mean, it was chaos. You know what I mean? And also, it has also been, it's officially been confirmed that at NXT Stand and Deliver in Las Vegas, we're going to have a triple threat match for the NXT Championship between Obafemi, Trick Williams, and Javon Evans. So this is the third straight Stand and Deliver where we've had, we've had a black male wrestler headline and being the main event. The first time was Stand and Deliver in Los Angeles, with Mella versus Braun Breaker for the NXT Championship. Last year, we had Trick versus Mella. First time there were two black men that were in the main event of an NXT Stand and Deliver during WrestleMania weekend. So this year, trifecta, now we have not just two, but three. So we have Oba, Trick, and Javon. And, I mean, they were definitely going for it as well on the night, about how Trick was telling Javon that he's not ready, he's not on that level, all that type of stuff. And so, and of course, Javon was, Javon brought up how Trick was in Carmelo's shadow. And actually, even before that, Trick was talking about, what we had to go through in order to get to this point, to the point of losing a brother that was referring to Melo, and that's when Javon, really hit up in the tight spot where he brought up how Trick was in Melo's shadow, and how Trick has essentially become Melo, and Trick was of course, Trick responded saying that Javon was in his shadow, and how Javon also brought up how I deserve to be the number one contender, because of how he gave Obafemi a run for his money as well. And so that's when Oba got in, and this is when things really heated up. And so that was he came in, he pretty much put Javon in timeout, and ultimately ended up exchanging words themselves. And so that's when Ava confirmed there's going to be a triple threat match. And so Trick had snuffed Javon right before Oba took Trick out. And so then this is when whatever this group is, whether this Team Shield is NXT, attacked all three of them. You know what I mean? So looking to see how this plays out going to going to stand and deliver. Um, we also see that I also want to say congratulations to Ricky Saints for becoming the NXT North American champion. You know, in such a short span of time, within a month plus, within a month and some change, is ever since leaving, the other place, AEW, Ricky's officially become a champion in WWE. That stock is very, very high. And so his first challenge, of course, is going to be Ethan Page. But yeah, as far as NXT, definitely has some great storylines, some great feuds. They're really lining up, and I can't wait for Stand and Deliver. Even though it's going to be super duper early in Vegas, like I'm waiting that early for that. But I mean, shoot, 9 a.m. Just beginning breakfast and doing some other stuff. But yeah, as far as that, NXT Stand and Deliver is definitely going to be something that's going to be really, really special. That's all I have to say about that. And so another thing that I have to bring up as time is drawing near, as we all know, Swerve was on Vlad TV and gave a very divisive interview, if you will, where I think where they initially brought up his upbringing and stuff like that, and all of a sudden ends up end up talking about talking about his racial issues with WWE when it came to Hit Row, as far as in the release and the issue with the front office, and how AJ Francis and Vince and Bruce Pritchard, having like a shout match or whatever, and makes it to the point where AJ was standing up for the for the rest of Hit Row, and so clearly Swerve was not exactly the biggest fan of it, and obviously during the interview he also Swerve also took shots at Booker T as well, talking about how Booker let Vince Super Slam about how Booker let Vince call him the N-word during a pay-per-view and stuff like that, and whatever. But anyway, yeah. Sorry about that. Just watching an episode. I have elementary just now in the background, but yeah. Anyway, but yeah, like I said, as far as that, so Swerve felt the need to take it upon himself to allegedly address racial issues on of all platforms, Vlad TV. You want to talk about a platform that's for an op. And here's the thing: when it comes to Vlad TV, is like you should know what you're walking into. You should know what you signed up for, because he's known to put up some of the wildest captions in his videos, especially when it comes to especially when it comes to black celebrities. And there was even a video from the interview where the caption talked about how Swerve has all these different kids with all these different kids with all these different women and stuff like that. I mean, like just highlighting some of those some of those negative stereotypical parts of you. You know what I mean? So it's just like, of all people, I would think that you know that. But at the same time, like I said, I'm not justifying some of the things that Booker T went through in WWE and whatnot, right? But at the same time, if it wasn't for Booker T breaking down doors and barriers, we wouldn't know about Shane Strickland, Swerve Strickland, whatever you want to call yourself, right? You know, does Booker T have his flaws? Absolutely. I'm pretty sure he'd be the first one to admit that. But at the same time, with his pedigree, there does come, a certain level of respect when it comes to someone of Booker T's caliber, especially when it comes to the black wrestling space. You know what I mean? Like, Booker T's one of those guys, along with Ron Simmons, where it's just like, whatever they say, it's just like, all right, then look, you can have it. You know what I mean? I know that Swerve would not have this. I know he would not have the same energy when it, if as far as Ron Simmons. I know he wouldn't. You know what I mean? But but the thing is, it's just just like like especially when it comes to Booker, he had all the smoke in the world for this dude. And so Booker definitely clapped back on him. In an interview on Fightful. And he, like, actually, like on Fightful, that actually, just took a transcript, an excerpt of what Booker said on his podcast, as it pertains to Swerve. And Booker was very disappointed in Swerve, and so, I obviously, of course, Booker was saying is obviously, racism didn't stop when he first broke into the business, back in the early '90s, like 1990 and stuff, and how he had to face, deal with stereotypes and whatnot, and just like very naturally degrading things, but at the same time, at the same time he went through those trials and tribulations in order to make it possible for for other black wrestlers to make a name. You know what I mean? Just to overcome those valleys and and all those different type of things that you had to deal with. And so and not only that, Booker, like I said, Booker said that that Vlad had initially reached out to him, and eventually Booker ended up turning it down. Smart man for doing that, and so for Swerve to have that kind of energy, especially as it pertains to someone of Booker T's caliber, and who he is, like, nah, dude, I'm not with that. Booker may have his hangups, but he doesn't cosplay as some street dude. Booker actually came from the streets. This dude even did prison time. You know what I mean? Booker T, Booker, like I say, regardless of some of the things that we may disagree with him about, some of the statements that he may make online and interviews and everything like that. But make no mistake about it. Booker's about that action. Always has been, always will be. So hey, look, you know what I mean? Like I said, the thing is, I mean, as entertaining as he is as a commentator on NXT, don't get that mistaken. Do not get that twisted at all whatsoever. You know what I mean? And so, and the thing about it is that Swerve is, like I said, he's a very divisive figure. He's the type of guy that will sneak this, a group that he's not, that he's not really friends with, as in Hit Row, so as AJ was taking a stand for the rest of his group, taking a, like I said, taking a stand for his colleagues, especially a black woman like B-Fab. Even with all that stuff going on, Swerve, he answered them not a word. You know what I mean? Like, Swerve, his whole thing, is really just to look out for his brand. And I find it funny that, Swerve likes to call himself the first black this and first black that, just because he is in a company that is a botch fest. Company that I'm not even wasting my time and bandwidth to even cover when they have pay-per-views. You know what I mean? All right, yeah, you're the first black this and that and whatever in that place. But let's not act like TK, doesn't parade you around as some type of black stereotype himself. The same company that made you a champion is the same company where the same company where the owner had disrespected a black female wrestler, said that her wrestling wasn't that good. You know what I mean? Of course, shout out to Big Swole. What's up? But yeah, like I say, that's the same, female wrestler that the owner of the company that you're with, he disrespected. So a guy like that, is very tone deaf. So so like you have all the smoke, for Booker, and you pseudo distance yourself from Hit Row and things like that. But meanwhile, let's not act like TK, didn't parade you around as some type of stereotype, or or this dude that will break into another man's home, like Hangman. So that's why when Swerve beat Hangman in that Texas death match or whatever, that death match, whatever it was, to become like the AEW champion and things like that. I mean, yeah, historically, you're the first black AEW, world champ or whatever. All right, cool, good for you. But at the same time, because you have sown so much discord within the black wrestling, community, especially on the internet and things like that, because you made yourself to be a divisive and polarizing figure. That is why, when you became the AEW champion, nobody was treating it like it was Kofi Mania. Tears were not shed the way they were when Kofi became the WWE champion. Because you have given so many people a bad taste in their mouth, especially when it came to a list that celebrated the top 50 black wrestlers today. Both of course, all across the board, from WWE, AEW, the indies and things like that. A list where a black podcast took out their time to honor and acknowledge you. I want to have to go back to this again, but it's just like, come on now, the way that you carried them, and you expect the rest of the community to give you a hero's welcome, to roll out the red carpet for you, like you're Shawn Michaels or something. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And so because of things like that, because of some song that he made where, when he was saying, like some real cheesy line, so real stupid, cheesy line, talking about black women or whatever, like back during Christmas Eve, or whatever, stuff like that. It's just like, like things like that, and especially now with you being being on Vlad TV, of course, it definitely works out for your stock, what I mean, like it certainly helps your own personal brand, but at what expense? So more and more, you're looking more and more like there's so many people. More and more, you're starting to look like you starting to look more remind you of Steven from Django at this point. You know what I mean? And so that's and like I said, this guy has put a rotten taste in in so many so many black fans' mouths, in the mouths of so many podcasters, and stuff like that. So it's like when you sow that kind of discord and you sow those type of seeds, don't be surprised of the harvest that you get. You know, um, even though this platform is giving you bigger exposure, but you go on the platform of someone who goes out of his way to make black people look like caricatures. The same dude that disrespected Marlon Wayans, a guy that comes from literal comedy royalty. It's the same Vlad that did that. And you go on the show to quote unquote bring up racial. Nah. I get it. It's just like, I get the message, but it's coming from the wrong messenger and it's coming from the wrong platform. And so you know what I mean? It's just like come on now. You want to talk about somebody who does not read the room. You're definitely the guy that doesn't read the room. You know what I mean? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and just throw it out there. It's just like you're guys like that who will, who will turn on their blackness when it's convenient. Swerve will have no problem, in terms of, being, call himself the first black this and having this, having this super duper, Afrocentric pride. He has no problem doing that when it's profitable. He has no problem doing it when it's convenient. You know what I mean? Like, so as far as that, it's just like it's like you put on this hat to say that you're this hat saying that you're like ultra black culture and things like that, but yet you sneak this an all black group that you're part of, you throw shade at a podcast who was giving you flowers. So that is why you have that's why he has the perception that he has. Plain and simple. I definitely had to get this off my chest because last week I felt like I was about a day late, $1 short. So it's just like now that Booker's responded. Hey man, might as well, man. You know what I mean? And shout out to Booker T for for his pettiness this morning. I thought that was hilarious. With that gift. I was like, all right, cool. And also on a lighter note, I also want to say congratulations to Bret Hart for becoming the very first wrestler to become a 3-time Hall of Famer, because now WWE is including matches in their Hall of Fame. So the first match to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame is Bret Hart versus Stone Cold from WrestleMania 13. So what I mean, like so if there's anybody who deserved it, it's absolutely him. So yeah, so as far as that, that is it when it comes to when it comes to this week's wrestling coverage. I don't really see too much that that really needs to be said. I think I've pretty much addressed address everything that I need to address. And so now, on a lighter note, it's time for the celebrity birthdays. April 1st. It's not an April Fool. WWE legend, 14-time world champion, the Legend Killer, the Viper, future Hall of Famer, Randall Keith Orton turned 45. April 2nd, the late great Hall of Famer, DC's very own, the legendary Marvin Gaye, would have turned 86. April 3rd, the GOAT of Saturday Night Live, my GOAT of comedy, Eddie Murphy, turned 64. April 4th, Iron Man / Dr. Doom himself, Robert Downey Jr. turned 60. On that same day, Kelly Price turns 52. Jill Scott turns 53. You know, of course, let's see, on April 4th, on the same day, April 4th. You know, of course, Maya Angelou, turns 97. On April 5th, Charlotte Flair turns 39. Sika, like I said, Charlotte Flair turns 39. Sika, the father of Roman Reigns, you know, one half of Wild Simone will turn 80. Pharrell, you know, of course, turns 52. DDP turns 69. Dominic Mysterio turns 28. Paul Rudd, you know, of course, from Ant-Man turns 56. On April 7th, you know, of course, April 7th, NFL Hall of Famer Tony Dorsett turns 71. Bill Bellamy turns 60. And of course, on April 8th, Bianca Belair turns 36. And that is it that's it when it comes to birthdays. And so now last but not least, I would like to give my word of wisdom, and that is that God wants you to manage the past. And really just keep it in perspective. And of course, like I said, just keep it in perspective. And to stop making today look like yesterday. Maximize the present. And of course also to move on to your promise, and that is to manage the past, maximize the present, and move on to the promise. And that is your word of wisdom. And of course, also you're victorious because greater is He that is in you than he that is in the world. When you put God in first place, you don't have to worry about being in last place. Please make sure to listen to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and of course, you can also watch by way of YouTube as well. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for those. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. And may this day be the very best day of your life.